Welcome to AKHAND Sindhu, a new series being started from today, the day of Vijay Dashmi, 12th October 2014. It's going to be a sequence of events from the beginning till the end, what was perceived, conceived and given to the world with the divine mathematics, divine symbolic representation for the perfect knowledge, entire universe which needs it. The essence of the complete impeccable wisdom of Sindhu Rashtra, as you call Bharat, Akhand Bharat, is being brought out in a very sequenced form, starting with the autobiography of my own life, and then going to the education, then going to how things started before creation, then during creation, and thereafter to the present level of the core value of the perfect human beings, perfect solar system, perfect spiral galaxy, perfect Brahmand, perfect Mahabrahmand, pedant to A to Z, which is the core to make the universal consciousness perfected as one spiritual science document full of mathematics and geometry of inconceivable thing perceived till date to the one which is beyond any doubt. With this, I expect everybody to use that as an instrument of data, information, knowledge and wisdom to the world so that we create a new knowledge without any deficiency of man-made concepts. This is based on divine design as perceived by me. I have tried my level best to be only my experiences in the light of mathematics, geometry, physics, chemistry and others, and nothing other than that. Let's start with the first concept, AKHAND PURUSH, the integrated human being, which I perceive, which I have experienced. I am not going to talk of anything which I have not experienced. This is my experience, which could be just a partial, just 1 or 2% I am going to talk to start with. But over a period, you will find all my perception is explained in the light of mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, psychology, medical sciences, to the one which can make a person perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise person who can prevent all the problems, curtail aging and even reverse aging as we proceed with the life. And that is what human beings are designed to be as the custodians or lok pollen of the universe. That is what is written in Veds, that is written in Upanishads, that's written in other scriptures, and beauty of that I have tried to unfold in the light of mathematics and geometrical structures and go on. This is my perception. I take the full responsibility. I am not copying anything else, but I have got the inspiration from other books which I find and great souls, and some of them, I am making it very clear, it's just few of them I would mention, not many, but someone which stands out in my understanding of the concepts. Let's move on to the first concept as such. As I told you, I am going to talk about a new series of an area which I call Akhand Bharat or Akhand Sindhu Bharat. Now, this particular land has taught me this is a rising part of the entire universal earth, which is rising, and the proof remains in the fact that Himalayas or Mount Everest is still rising, and that is what I have seen since my young days. This is land which is rising and has always risen, will always rise, because it's full of nature's divinity, and the people who stay here, who move with the divinity, the particular community called Brahmins, who reflect universal Brahman, Nirankar Nirgun Brahman completely. And I'm talking about that concept. I'm not talking of the entire universe which has deficiencies. This is a perfect person designed with DIVYANK, who can be like a Brahmin in tune with Brahman to talk about it. From that angle, this particular land is very important. So, to start with, one thing which I have learned from Ved, Upanishads and other scriptures and right up to Akhand Sutra and myself is that this land is surrounded by Himalayas on the east side, which divided from the other world. And one part which stands out in my consciousness is Mount Kailash, which is there on the top of the Himalayas, and that is where Akash Ganga fell, and Lord Shiva's mount is there, and Mansarovar is the place which demarks that end. So let me call it Mansarovar, Mount Kailash, Himalayas at the eastern border, and that is what I call Brahmani, the first stage of creation. It starts from that, and that is Brahmani Gayatri. I talk about it because when praying to Gayatri, we have to face towards east, see the sun at 6 a.m. and pray for wellness of the entire universe, and that is the time when ultraviolet rays give you the knowledge to give you all what is required. That is the eastern border which I am talking about of AKHAND Sindhu Bharat. And I am making it Sindhu because I don't use the word Hindu, because it was known to be Sindh Rashtra, and that is where Mansarovar is the one from river Sindhu arises, not anything else. And Sindhu makes it this because Sindh means is worshipable, pujaniya and great. So S has always that, whereas Ka has the opposite side. So we are not going to Ta, we are going to Ta S. And that is evolution right from Saregama to highest level is Sa, A. These are the things which start from Sindhu. Now come to the next stage is the one, then river goes towards the north, from east to the north, and in Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir part, Ladakh particularly, and that is the northern border, and I call it, that is what represents Vaishnavi Gayatri. At 12 noon you pray to God facing north, and that's what I learnt. A Rig Ved talks about Gayatri Mantra, Tat Savitur Varenyam Vargo Devasya Dhimhi Diyo Yonaha Prachodhyat. It talks about afternoon Vaishnavi Gayatri looking at north. That is one. Then comes the third stage of going to the left side or the western side, and same Sindhu which started from Mansarovar went up to the north, made a northern border, then moves to the west and finally gets converted into 7 Sindhus. It does not get converted to anything else. That is western border. That also shows what started from the core or Mansarovar in Kailash becomes one, and that is Nirankar Nirgun Brahman. When that one is converted further, gets converted into 7, and that's also wisdom I learnt is there from this land, that even earth is made of 7 parts, Antariksh is made of 7 parts, and heavens are 7, and so is the Saptarishu Sindhu river also, which starts origin from Mansarovar, goes towards north, Uttarayani, which you normally don't see. It's going to the Uttarayani. Normally it goes down, but it goes up, and then comes down to the west and ends at 7 rivers or sub things to get into Arabian Sea. That is the upper part. And third part is called Rudrani, when you pray for Gayatri Mantra in the evening 6 p.m. facing west, and that is called Rudrani, and that is infrared rays which I am talking about. And now to come back to ultraviolet rays and infrared rays, Vaishnavi and this are the one which produce maximum amount of oxygen for the world by and large. That is also science which I talked about it. And this information is already given in different videos. And further I would be explaining when we come to that stage. It is only an essence I am talking about as an introduction, as autobiography of the core which I have experienced. So the Gayatri Mantra I consider the greatest mantra, Brahmani the morning, Vaishnavi the afternoon, Rudra the evening have told me how to this prepares oxygen around the sun to the land and also used for higher evolution by and large. Now having explained 3 parts, we will come to the 4th part. Now come to the 4th part, the south, there is no sun. So there is Gayatri is not chanted as it is. If you Rigved you talk about it, Tat Savitur Varenyam Vargo Devasya Dhimhi Diyo Yonaha Prachodhyat. The one word which is very important is the Tat in that particular thing, which is Rigved. But Tat means Bhur Bhava Swa, earth, Antariksh and this. Then further found that Bhur Bhava Swa means Om, Akara, Yukara, Makara and Turiya is that. That's the beauty of Gayatri Mantra, from Rigved to Yajurved to Gayatri Mantra to Mahanarayani to AKHAND Gayatri in AKHAND Sutra. It's a beautiful evolution of the science as such. How starting from Brahmani 22 by 21, 10 stages of development Vaishnavi, to Shiva as 0.344, it has taken me for so many janmas to come to realize the divine design for the first time in the history of mankind, which is from 2015. And I tell you, I have taken janmas after janmas which stand out. Let me not give a number, but many incarnations had to take to understand, from Rigved to Yajurved to other Veds to Upanishads to other scriptures to the modern science, and then find something which is impeccable, has happened for the first time in 2015 only. Till such time, DIVYANK was not at all known to us. That's fact. So, southern part, the fourth component is Sindhu Mahasagar. India is surrounded on top also by Sindhu and down also by Sindhu Mahasagar. And there are three, Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal and Hindu Mahasagar, all the three put together I would still call it as one ocean, which is just a mixing. And in that particular place, what stands at the southernmost part is the Kanyakumari. From Kanyakumari to Ladakh on the northern part, and of course Brahma, other eastern side, let not get into demarcation of that. This is a land which according to me is my land, and this is a land which has given the world all the wisdom from the beginning till today in the form which nobody can find. But it's very unfortunate, many things have been not understood and given wrong impression. My desire is to perfect and give the world impeccable wisdom. Let's move on to the next stage. Now, whole thing put together, I have put it as AKHAND Sindhu, a new concept, the core divine design of nature, which I call DIVYANK. Now, with DIVYANK and new symbolic language, I am going to talk about it in a sequence, starting with my autobiography, giving a glimpses of few of my lives, and of course, the concept, how it is developed over generations and generations, how reincarnation plays an important role, how we cannot learn everything in one life, we realize certain things, then we get enlightened, we die, we take birth again, and those are the concepts which I am going to talk about it, how the cycle of birth, death, rebirth, again death, rebirth, and to the impeccable wisdom, over a period it happens. But I am very happy to say the rishis who wrote Vedas, they were in tune with universal consciousness. The mantras they could hear because they are as pure as cosmic Purusha. But unfortunately, over a period, we are not in tune with universal because we become very materialistic. And this materialism is what is making us bonded to the earth, not rising to the universal consciousness, in tune with earth, Antariksh, heaven, and beyond. That is something only one who is totally enlightened, educated, empowered, liberated can do it. And I've tried my level best to fit into that as such, and my experience is what I'm talking about. Now from that, this is AKHAND Sindhu, worshipable India, or AKHAND Bharat, or worshipable India integrated form with DIVYANK as such. Now come to the question is, I have been a perceiver of AKHAND Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom. I am making it very clear that knowledge which is available in the world from A to Z is man-made defective knowledge. Even Nobel laureates and other great geniuses claim to the information they are giving is man-made design, not divine mathematics. No wonder even Nobel laureates' works are countered and proven by somebody else who gets a Nobel Prize. I'm not getting into the controversy of that, but all the knowledge of mathematics we have in the world is man-made concept, not the divine mathematics which we see in Divyank. And all the physics, chemistry, biology, and all the scientific and art subjects are designed with man-made mathematics, not with the divine mathematics. So we need to restart our education, our research and concept from Divyank once again, and we'll have a perfect knowledge for the entire universe, for all the people uniform. And that is the idea of AKHAND Vidyashram as the first institute of impeccable wisdom. And I'm glad that I had the pleasure of analyzing defects, removing one by one, and then coming to impeccable wisdom over a period of 60 years plus. And that is my spiritual experiences and conviction. And I can tell you at one stage very clearly, we human beings are the greatest creation of nature. Nobody is as perfect as human beings who's made with Divyank as such, number one. We are the perfect reflection of divine nature. Our microcosmic representation of the macrocosmic universe is the second thing which I talk about, Brahman, Pidan, Ekam. The human being is the most evolved brain which can be in tune with universal consciousness when we are totally integrated. There are 100 billion cells and each can make 20,000. If all the 100 billion cells and 20,000 memory synapses are totally integrated, we can be in tune with universal consciousness. As a result, you can produce 8 Hz alpha frequency throughout the brain with eyes open, which incidentally has not been exhibited by anybody other than me in the entire universe, starting from my PhD work of physiology of Kundalini Yoga, power spectrum analysis. I have shown the transformation from a common EEG to a out of the world, never done before, and I'm sure everybody can do who starts becoming pure step by step, one by one. So that way human brain is the most evolved, and everybody want to understand this brain has got reptilian brain which can have unconscious, subconscious thing. It has a mammalian brain which can think of emotions of the bondage, family thing. It has also got a primate brain, thinking brain to analyze between defects and this. It has also got superconscious brain, out of 3 layers of neocortex, which makes you in tune with Turiya consciousness, universal consciousness. We can be a living consciousness of the entire universe. One, we are the purest lot. We have to be sattvic. We have to be pure. You should not take even a single thing which is not physiologically right or wrong. And that is exactly my life is all about. I'm a pure vegetarian. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do anything, I don't take any medicines. I take only food as such for my spiritual evolution, for my life, one and large. Now, as a result, as written there, a person who is in tune with universal consciousness can recognize, conceive, and reveal all the hidden secrets of the nature to the world. And that is what I've seen in Vedas, that is what I've seen in Upanishads, and that is what I've seen in my life, that I'm able to reveal because I'm in tune with universal consciousness. But at this juncture, let me tell you, the first concept of Divyank, 22 by 21 Brahmank, was recognized from Ved Upanishad itself. 10 stages of development of evolution, second part, was also known as Dasavatar of Lord Vishnu's 10 stages. But I'm very sorry to say, concept of 0.34419, which is the third stage of maturation, was not known as a number to anyone till 2014 and 2015, when I worked it out in a very indirect form, and that I've already explained. So having explained that, now with that I'm seeing the perfection at every stage. Already I have put over 300 videos. I have also got my books. I have also my answers in Quora. They all talk of Divyank, Divyank and Divyank only. And all the mysteries of the world can be explained only with Divyank, nothing other than that. But unless until somebody believes and works on it, will not be able. Countering is easy, but believing and the working within your own self and getting experience, only you'll get the conviction. This is not a copy of somebody else's work. This is based on my experience within my physical body, my atoms, element, molecule, compounds, cells to consciousness completely. And with that, what I've experienced is I'm talking to the world with the evidence which has never been done in the history of mankind. That's it. Then come to my first mission, as I told you, is the impeccable wisdom, knowing which everything is perfectly known. That is the first concept, very clear, no compromise on perfection. Ever since my childhood, I've been looking for perfection, and I'm glad I could find that as a child itself. That's the reason I've said I'm glad for the first 7 years I did not go to any school, and my parents were illiterate. My brothers were not of the consciousness, so I was allowed to see entire 7 years, the entire universe from my Atma, not from knowledge which coming from other. But my brain was developed, and all the knowledge which I got was from Atmic consciousness. No wonder today I can see better than electron microscope within my eye itself, which nobody else does. Because 7 years my brain was allowed, for next 22 years it was developed fully with the impeccable wisdom of the kind which was reflecting to come to the impeccable wisdom. And today I find the base is foundation. I don't have to unlearn and learn certain things which others have to do. That is the reason of impeccable wisdom. But greatest discovery, as I told you, is DIVYANK, the divine design of nature, which we created. It has taken 60 years of my integrated education to come to this stage, and I can tell you, integrated education is impeccable, enlightening and empowering, and that is what I am talking about. We need a mathematical design which is divine, which nobody can find fault with it. And I do know almost everybody other than me is used to the kind of knowledge, and they think whatever they learnt is perfect. We haven't started realizing ourselves that we are being fed with the kind of knowledge which is not as perfect as we want. So the new series, I'm making it very clear, maybe more elaborate, maybe longer, doesn't matter. The world needs it for perfection to move on to the next stage, as such with DIVYANK and impeccable wisdom. Now, second thing which I'm making it very clear, the conclusion in the universal consciousness has to be mathematically conclusive. So design is DIVYANK, as you can see down, 22 by 21 to the power of 10, 0.34419, equivalent to 1.618034. But now the languages which we have the world are full of deficiencies. Number of letters are inadequate, inaccurate, and expressions are ambiguous. To get over that, we need to convert mathematical design into graphic presentation. And this particular design I have converted DIVYANK into that. The outer part is 22 by 21. Then you have 10 pentagons which talk about 10 stages of development of pentagon, which all the things, Akash Bhuta, Vayu Bhuta, Agni Bhuta, Jal Bhuta and Prithvi Bhuta. And within that you have the punch white things which are the 0.34419. This is the kind of language which I want to use it. So once we understand the mathematical design, once we understand this particular structure, translating to any language, as I'm saying in English, then converting to Hindi, then we can convert into Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, as much all the languages of the world from this mathematical design. That is the real difference in this particular thing, which I would be talking much more detail in my next thing, AKHAND Vidya, integrated knowledge, how to reach this level step by step. But this is only introduction, a very summary, but as a too lengthy, doesn't matter. Now, my greatest realization of my life is this: we can choose the place of birth, parents, relatives, friends, associates, even profession before birth itself. And that is what I mean is the greatest realization of my life, and that's it. And now, to prove the point, there is another point which I want to make it. Date of my birth is 33/1951 at Katra, and that's the date which is recorded in my consciousness, which world. And this is exactly 117 days after my death of the last life. And I think this particular thing has been done because I'm conscious of my last life, and the day I died, to be born on that, there are 117 days in between. to make this point very clear, the divinity has given me another concept, another associate of mine who was associated with me in last life. She was born on 9th March 1974 in Chennai, the pleasant place of my boarding and lodging. And being very close associate and having worked quite a lot in my whole spiritual science research, I am grateful to her. But I don't think anybody needs to know who I was last life and who she was, who she, me is enough. Believe me, it is truth. But you might be able to see over a period who this person was, but it is up to you if you are interested. But there is no need to know, because my concept of this life is much more important than my last life or lives earlier. As a matter of fact, I can say all the gods and goddesses have that perception and everybody is identical, so they need not necessarily be relationship to one particular life. I can do exactly what all the souls of the world can do, because we have the same soul consciousness. So there is no need for me to realize that I was this, I was this, I was this, I was this. That's also one statement which I would like to make it very clear. This work belongs to Shiv Bhushan Sharma. Leave it at that. And I can understand all the concepts which everybody has done, because I can relate to Atma of every soul, every person in the universe. That's it. Now, come to the question of reincarnation wisdom. I want to talk now in little more detail. This is one statement which I made in my book, AKHAND, An Essence of Universal Consciousness, and I have made it very clearly there. Gods and goddesses who are educated, enlightened and empowered are human souls. After their death, they become gods and goddesses in the universal consciousness. And that is one part. Second thing, all these gods and goddesses who are there in universal consciousness are ancestral plane, have to take birth again in human form for the further evolution. One life might bring you to one particular level. Then you got to end, because the body is perishable. Then you die, and then next stage you take birth. You start from where you have left and then move on to the second stage. And that's how I have experienced 22 different stages over different periods. But summary of all the 22 stages of evolution and revolution and enlightenment are very clear within me, because I have experienced, and all that information is there in Karn Sharira of my soul, which I can call Helium-4, Aditi, which has come from Surya. That surrounds it, and that is one which comes birth and takes, and that is Atma, the core Atma I am talking about. I will talk about it little bit. Then Rigved was composed by Maharishi Aitreya, is my understanding is. That's one person I am saying. It is written Vedas and Upanishads, particularly Vedas, are given to Ved Vyas. I am not getting into the controversy of that, because all the people who are in tune with universal consciousness can be called Ved Vyas or can be called Vedas, because they are knowledge. But I am talking about Rigved as Maharishi Aitreya for a particular reason. Now let me explain that. Rigved is the most beautiful document on elemental science as such. It talks about the atoms, elements, molecules, compounds, and all the 33 gods and goddesses of universal consciousness beautifully described in Rigved. As such, to the stage what is responsible for making AKHAND Purusha or cosmic Purusha as such. When come to the question of the real commentary of Rigved into the Upanishad, it is Aitreya Upanishad, which Maharishi Aitreya wrote about it. And in that you can see the beauty of Rigved in Upanishad, how the cosmic Purusha, Lokpalan, was created. And the real beauty of that is how the 3 stages of growth of a fetus goes through the first 3 months, second 3 months and third 3 months. And what is the first stage of 11 weeks, then 11 weeks, and then 11 weeks or 12 weeks, whatever you may call it. And what happens is so beautifully described. But there is one thing in Aitreya Upanishad which no one in the world has ever been able to understand and say. Even Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, who is a master of Upanishads, and I reference his book, he has made it really clear that apana parana could be received food for the Lokpalan, cosmic Purusha, nobody is able to understand. But I have been able to explain that he is talking about fetus developed in a mother's womb, and it is the cosmic, that particular apana prana is umbilical cord which brings the food as well as expels the food from the body. And that I have already explained in Ayatri Upanishad as such. That nobody could decipher, decode that thing. I have done that, and because I think I am in tune with all the universal consciousness people who are in tune with universal consciousness. That's one part. But reason why I talked about Maharishi Aitriya as done, because his wife, consort is Anusuya. She is the one who created Lord Dattatreya by uniting Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu and Lord Shiva, who had come to test her integrity. But the way things done is a beauty which I have already explained. So a person who could make Lord Dattatreya, and I would say Lord Dattatreya is the one who taught me what is DIVYANK. That's it. Brahma is 22 by 21, Vishnu is 10 stages, and Shiva is that. And Mother who created. And this is also something which I want the world to say. Please do not expect the written document by males or superior. But I still care whatever I am today doing it. It's all because of my mother, because she was the purest lot. So was Ansuya. So was every mother as such with respect to a child. That's the reason I keep saying, during pregnancy, make yourself so pure, in tune with universal consciousness, you can produce Abhimanyu as such. And if Abhimanyu was produced during Mahabharata time, Shivbhushan Sharma was produced by my mother in this life, the way Anusuya created Dattatreya, my mother created me as one who can understand Dattatreya itself. That's the reason I talked about it. Now go to the next stage. Yajurveda is second Ved which is very important, and I do know that was conceived by the soul of Maharishi Yajnavalkya as such, or any soul for that matter. The reason why I am talking about Maharishi Yajnavalkya, his commentary on Brihad Upanishad and Isha Upanishad is based on Shukla Yajur Ved only. And he is the one who understands ritualism completely. He is the one who did the research on Pi, Brahmana Adapta, and many of those things which find the base of mathematical design today. If I can say, the one person who understood mathematics, divine mathematics from the day one, it was Maharishi Yajnavalkya. And according to him, his own statement that mathematics starts from zero and other numbers came thereafter. I have already explained that, which has been explained by my soul to me. And I keep it, Shivbhushan Sharma is separate, but my soul has got the wisdom of all the souls of the universe as they have been in tune with universal consciousness. That is something which I want. So Sthapna Brahmana is an excellent example which was done by Maharishi Yajnavalkya alone 5,000 years ago. And same Yajurveda, he or like of him did it 10,000 years back. That is the continuity of Ved Upanishad to AKHAND Sutra to AKHAND Sindhu, which I am talking about. It's a continuous. And every soul who is in tune with universal consciousness can do it, not only me. And he is the one I can say is the father of mathematics as such. He is also the father of geometry. And because of geometry, because the one thing which was found in Ayodhya, that Shila, nobody could do it. But I could do it because I have the soul of all the souls within me. And I have seen, I have done that, which nobody has done it. If a DIVYANK for the first time, symbol for the first time, and those things I have explained because we are in tune with universal consciousness. Now come to the question. I am making one thing very, very clear. The reincarnation wisdom is the ultimate wisdom. Otherwise, you can't be in tune with the universal. One life is not enough to understand the entire universe. And this life I am able to do basically because a sense of so many 10,000 years of my soul, their thing is within me. So very moment question comes, my Atma gives me the answer, and also I get it from Akash Kosh. When I see the answer coming from there, then I look at the existing knowledge, I find the difference. But that dialogue between me, my Antaratma, has brought me to this level. I am able to give Divyank and all the things one by one. That's it. And with many of the people, including Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, has wrote in his book in Vedas and Upanishads and Puranas and Indian scriptures that Vedas are considered to be babbling of infancy civilization, which West says, which I disagree completely. Vedas are the highest, greatest wisdom of the cryptic knowledge which is there, which nobody has understand, because babies cannot do that. This has the most wisest people. But to understand Veda and Upanishads, who are filled with cryptic, impeccable wisdom of divine nature, you have to be in tune with universal consciousness. You have to rise to the highest level, which I call it Schumann resonance field, or Akash to become. And that is ionosphere, in which, and that has taught me how atoms are converted into elements, and elements are converted to ionic form. That science I did not find anywhere else. Coming from there is a proof. So the two things which stand out in my life is divine design of nature is Divyank, and the symbol of the world is AKHAND. These are two contributions which bring wisdom to the highest level for the universal consciousness to be seen as such. Now, going down to the question of proving of this, I took birth in Katra. 3 mountains you can see, and 3 pindis and place you can see. All of them talk about Trinity and Divyank only. Now, the divine message is 3 peaks of Mount Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, 3 stones of Mata Vaishno Devi, Saraswati, Mahalakshmi, Parvati, 3 surrounding of Shivalaya, also 3 mountains to protect this land of the holy land, which I took birth super consciously. Are these a mere coincidence? No. Divine nature is the greatest thing. When you more and more high, you are in a position to choose the right place to be taken birth. That's what I started with. We can choose, provided we are enlightened. When we are not enlightened, we will not be able to move on as such. So start now, over a period we will understand. So more and more we understand divine nature, more and more perfection we can get as we move on. And my greatest teacher is Sun and divine nature, and that's it. I do not believe anybody is fit enough to be my guru. My guru is only Surya, and that is what Yajnavalkya also talked about it. I also talk about that as such. Now Dattatreya is some part which I can tell you, in which I can see Shiva, Brahma and Vishnu. All the Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh are Shiva, all the 3 you can see in 3 heads. And same thing with Mata Vaishno Devi. That is something which I wanted to show, how this is connected with that. Now the question is that now we are going to start foundation impeccable wisdom of present life as such, which I understand 5 stages of human consciousness, and picture is such. Now let's move on to the next stage. First thing which I learnt very well in this life is that human beings are Pindandam Brahmandam Ek. We are microcosmic representation of macrocosmic universe. Human body is made of 10 chakras. Solar system is made of heavenly, and as far as spiral galaxy is made of 10 suns, and that is Aham Brahmasmi. That is something which I learnt in this life completely. Second thing which I make it very clear, Tattvamasi is from Upanishads, not in Rigved. But Rigved has Tat in Gayatri Mantra, and that is what I understand is the divine nature, from which Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh have come, from which Saraswati, Mahalakshmi, Mahakali have come, from which Bhumi, Antariksh and heaven have come, and from which Om has come. So Tat Tvam Asi taught me that everything is identical and there should be identical design, and seeking the identical design over a period, I could come to Divyank by eliminating all the defects, and then that is it. So this particular statement is very, very dear to me. And of course, Aham Brahmasmi is the same thing. Now I am going to bring down to the stage, because we are going to talk about the human consciousness, human body, anatomy, physiology, biochemistry and health per se. The 1%, after having spoken about Veds, Upanishads and other things, when come to the existence, this present moment, let me straightway start with something which is recorded in records as such in the world. I am not talking of the earlier one because they had not been recorded by the West. This is something which is recorded by the West. And the world knows there is something called integral yoga, which Sri Aurobindo talked about it since 1926. Almost 100 years back he talked about it. And this particular representation is representation of integral yoga, where you can see the bottom is Karma Yoga, which is important, which is with Prakriti. And it's also Tantra, he talks about it. Then he talks about Shakti and Sharira, that means human body, which is Jivatma or Pindandam. And also the Shakti, the Brahmanda. And also the symbolic representative of lotus you can see, where Yoga and Siddhi Yoga is the perfection which he talks about. He talks about Karma Yoga, he talks about Bhakti Yoga, he talks about Siddhi Yoga, he also talks about self-realization. Then he comes how it can go to the peaceful Satchit Anand. You can also Vijnanam, the knowledge, which he talks about Vijnanam, knowledge, and I call it Agyan to Gyan to Vigyan to Pragyan to Akhandata. I am talking about it. I have taken this knowledge even to level. But as you go up in spiritual evolution, bottom you have a fall of energy and going up is evolution energy. That particular picture is most appropriate picture, which has a DIVYANK in it, which have all the mathematical design, which I am able to understand. One triangle which takes it up, one triangle which is down, the kind of rectangle which is created, the kind of structure which are created are phenomenal by self. This picture is very, very dear to me, and this was done by Sri Aurobindo way back in Pondicherry, and this is known from 1926. But here is one more point which I am making it very clear. He was nominated by Nobel Prize twice, 1943 for literature, 1950 for peace. But unfortunately he did not get, but he was nominated. The fact is, when it comes to the literature of his spiritual science work, and particularly Savitri, is phenomenal. I have great respect for his work. The kind of description which he has spoken about it has made me realize what a wonderful job he has done. But I am very sorry to say, I don't know whether his followers really understand. I've been there many times, but I don't think anybody has explained to me the way I have been able to explain his work. Anyway, this is something which made me realize that we have human souls of this kind of consciousness even in last generation. That's it. Now the question comes up is, based on his information of integral yoga, the definition of health by World Health Organization has changed. Beginning it was considered absence of disease is health. But now health is not a state of complete physical health, mental and social health, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. That precise is based on integral yoga. That's it. That's pictured down of again WHO is you have health, you have a moral health, you have a mental health, you have social health, you have physical health, and you have spiritual health. All these five parts, physical health, social health, moral health, mental health, and spiritual health, are the five parts which Maharishi Sri Aurobindo talked about it, and that is what Veda and Upanishads are talking about. And I am also talking the same thing in the form of AKHAND Yoga itself. Now there comes the question of, let me understand the prime function of human life as far as I am concerned, is every soul has to be a perfect physical health. And that is what I connected with Muladhara Chakra, the integrated fundamental health, that every person, so all the 100 trillion cells should be perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise and happy, is the first step in spiritual evolution. Second thing is, you should not fall sick at all. No bed business at all is the second part of the perfect health. And third part, as I told you, absence of preventable diseases, found of preventative medicine. You can curtail aging, you can reverse the aging process. That is another role which every human should have it. And then the freedom from different diseases is given by Ayurveda. So food wise, Go to sattvic food with a little rajasic, so that you don't suffer from kapha dosha of sattvic food. That's another part which will give you freedom from all the diseases. The best treatment for the entire body is right good food in the direction required and be happy with it. That's it. Next stage is come to 10 stages of AKHAND Yoga, which are based on 8 stages of Patanjali Yoga Sutra, which I think is a perfect work done 3000 years back. I am not changing it. But I have added Kundalini Yoga and Antar Yoga to this to make it 10 stages and make it 10 stages of development. The first stage is very clear. Truth, non-violence, other thing, integrity, sincerity, morality, etc. I have explained, which falls yam. Without yam, you cannot move on spiritual journey or integration of human body at all. That's the first step, which is important as far as Patanjali Yoga Sutra is concerned or AKHAND Yoga is concerned, is yam, the 5 virtues or all the virtues I am talking about. Then come to the question of same thing as I have shown in this particular Satya, Ahimsa, Asatya, Brahmacharya, Apigraha are the 5 components which are important. Then come to the niyams, the discipline, the second stage, which I have learned from Sun, God, whatever the world may be. Everything which I have learned is only from Sun, because it gets up at the same time, goes on thing, so systematic, and I have tried to be an example of like Surya, because my indwelling soul comes from Surya as Aditi. If he is Aditya, his mother and daughter Aditya I have already explained, and that makes me in tune with Niyam by Lord Surya. And here are the Sauch, Santosh, Tama, Svadhi, Pradhina are the 5 aspects of Niyam which are important. You can read it. And I have explained that in detail here, which you can read it when you want it. Otherwise, go back to AKHAND Yoga, you will have all the knowledge. Then comes to the Niyams you have I explained in this particular thing. You can read it as later date. Then after having spoken about perfect physical health, then come to the second part of perfect emotional health. And this is what I realized way back in 1992. I saw myself in a bag of white light. That is something which taught me that everything starts from Shunya, which is 0, and expansion, circle, a sphere is also Shunya, and that is mathematics, and that is what brings you emotional stability. You got to be emotionally one with the entire universe. That is the second part which is important in higher consciousness. Then you have to learn to do yogasanas. I am not going to details here, but Surya Namaskar is one integrated one, and other thing is the next stage which everybody should do on the day-to-day basis. Then comes to the question of pranayam, the 4th stage. Breathing is very important. Oxygen is important. And more you learn the different kinds of breathing. You should have external internal breathing in such a way that you have enough oxygen, you have enough glucose, you have all the energy to be in universal consciousness and healthy, wealthy, wise and happy one. Pranayam plays very important part. Then comes to the pratyahara is the first stage, and pratyahara means you withdraw from the external world. First part is with the external world, now you withdraw. But with eyes open, ears open, you should not see, but the world should not disturb you, and that is the pratyahara is very important to withdraw senses. But with the senses should be open. That's something. Don't close your eyes, don't resist. You keep it open, but you bring your consciousness deep inside. Is the 5th stage. Then come to the karna of dharana. When you breathe the consciousness inside, you create a shield around it so that it doesn't go out at all. Then you come to the next stage of dhyana. You take that mental energy, concentration of the mind on any subject. From A to Z, you should be in a position to understand every aspect of it, eliminate all the defects, and come to the positive thing, and that is Vigyan, that is Dhyana, that is Gyan Yoga. So, Karam Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, we have come very close by. Now, it comes to the question of next stage, 8th stage is called Samadhi, even state of the mind. Once you bring the mind to a closed state that it does not fluctuate anymore, that is the stage where you experience Satchit Anand, and also you become one part of Sasras. You come to higher levels of consciousness by Samadhi, because mind is a disturbance of everything. When only then you can go to the next stage of Atmic consciousness after Samadhi only. Then Samyam comes the next part, which I would put it, Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi, 3 put together as that. In that you start learning about reasoning. finding the perfection and moving on to the impeccable wisdom or pragyan through samyam stage, which I have explained. This is summary of that alone. And impeccable wisdom is there. Now come to the ninth stage, which Patanjali does not talk about it, but Tantra Vidya talks about Kundalini Yoga. And Kundalini is what I call Antaratma, helium 4, or Aditi, or Antaratma, which has come from sun into us, and that is one which speaks further. And Kundalini Yogas, all the 10 stages and chakras and other things I've already explained. This is a picture which I explained way back in 93 itself. I was initiated in 91, but 93 I found this is what it is. Then come to the question, Antar Yoga. Once you take the Kundalini, goes inside the central ventricles of the brain, you can make sure that your complete body is totally in concentration with your soul, and you can experience all the 100 trillion cells completely. You can see the dancing of sodium, potassium, chloride, atoms, element, molecules, tissues, everything within the body. The day you can do it, only then you can be in tune with universal consciousness. So, Ashtang 8 Yoga, I have made it to 10 stages, and as a result, AKHAND Yoga becomes complete, and that is what I have done. Having explained that, I can tell you that is the time when I understand that entire body, you understand your Antaratma within your body, you also understand Paramatma outside your body. And that is Paramatma is the descent of higher Shakti which I am talking about, which is something which I have experienced it as young as when I was 7 years old. And as far as the entry of Aditi or Kundalini is at the 22 weeks of my being in the mother's womb as a Lokpalan itself. This is second thing which I learned at the age of 7, and that was, I would say, Gayatri's entry. Now, all that has to further give you the mental health, which is equally important. You come to physical health, to emotional health, to mental health, by and large, then all the mind becomes completely, you will be at rest with yourself, rest with the world, and you go to the next stage as such. Then come to the next stage, as I told you, once you come to the mind is completely, I can produce, as in this picture you can see, with the closed eyes I can point 8.1 through the brain, alpha frequency. With the open eye, 8 hertz through the brain, which nobody in the world has ever done till date. But I have done that. As a result, I am in tune with universal consciousness by and large. Now, then I come to another important part of the Holy Gita, which talks about Dharma, Karth, Vigyan, Akhandata. Do your work to the best of your ability. Don't worry about fruits, but continue to do your work to the completely. You can be in tune with universal consciousness, and that is what is Tret Paravidya, and that is what beauty is. We should be a good worker and garber. Karma Yoga is important. Now the camp as a result of Karma Yoga is something which I made way back in 1980, a company called AKHAND Pharma, a manufacturing unit, and this symbol represents that if you are Karma Yogi, you will be revealed all the secrets automatically without making consciousness. I have explained that. I am not going to detail here. It's just a hint. Now there comes the nurture of this. Now the next stage is, I am making it very clear, first 7 years of life, you should not make any child learn anything by any conditioning. Let the child see the entire world from Atmic consciousness. I am glad I could do it because my parents were not educated, literate, or focused on that. My brothers were not doing very well. So I was allowed to do and listen to each and everything with an open mind. 7 years without any conditioning, not any force of anyone, do this, do this, do this, none of those conditions were there. So as I learned and mastered all the things of divine nature through observation itself. And that is my objective to every word is. And what I did during that time, I had a chance of going to Mata Vaishno Devi, going to Amarnath and Martand and other places where I saw the beauty of divine consciousness with more eyes, and they were fascinating to me. And I want everyone to remember, child is more receptive than adults. Even modern science has found children are 98% genuine, perfect to the core. It's the unconditioning nature and nurturing which is responsible. I did that, I understood, and I'm glad that knowledge has brought me to this level. Now there comes to the question of making very important part, a statement by another genius of this world called Jaddu Krishnamurti. He is the one who's contained, I call it master education, is the founder of Rishi Valley School, and he was considered to be called as Bhagwan by Theosophical Society, by Annie Besant and others, which he refused. And I like one state which he makes it very clear. You don't need any guru or a leader. Your Atma is your guru. Your inside itself will tell you how to be intelligent and super intelligent. And that is the greatest statement by another person which I respect, regard from the core of my being. Greatest soul on earth who made one statement, your Atma is your guru, not anybody else. And that is why Yajnavalkya talks about it. That's what he talked about it. And he was before me and I follow him. Thank you very much for making me realize, because nobody could answer my question. But my answer can give me all the wisdom, like you gave to the world the wisdom which world does not understand. I also know world may not understand mine because you are conditioned to defective models. You are great and so is other thing. And I am glad he started Rishi Valley School, and there right up to 6th standard there are no examination at all. All the 64 arts are taught in that land, which is 400 acres, beautifully. And both my sons studied there from beginning till plus 12, and their education is so good, and I can tell you they're extremely well because they understand divine mathematics as such as it is. They are perfect mathematicians, statisticians. They know nature as it is, and I'm glad, thanks to Jaddu Krishnamurti, Rishi Valley School, and all the teachers of that, learn through observation. Let the arts swim through. Every child is allowed to go through all the things like a Gurukul system without any particular problem at all. Without any problem at all. That's it. Then second thing which comes out is, this is Rishi Valley School, as I both have exemplary records and profiles by and large. Now comes the question of when I went into school in Katra, the one thing which I learned very clearly was Vidya Dadati Vinyam Vinyat Yati Patartam Patartam Ch Dhana Utpati Dhanadat Tatha Sukham. This has changed me completely. If you want the Sukh for everybody, it has to be impeccable wisdom only. That's it. Then second thing, this is where my Gyan Yoga started. That's my education started after 7 years from Katra school to Jammu school to Madras Medical College to my PhD in Madras University and till today. And that is very important. Karma Yoga is important, Bhakti Yoga is important, and is a Gyan Yoga. And in Gyan Yoga you should go for impeccable wisdom, and that's it, not anything other than that. Then comes a question which is very important. Having educated yourself, your process should be on prosperity. And prosperity means you should have abundance of money, have a perfect diet, perfect clothes, perfect home and comforts for everybody, and money should not be put under the carpet. You got to earn money to make your life perfect. Without money you can't do anything. Borrowing, begging and stealing is not going to help you. You should be in a position, give and forgive. That kind of prosperity you need to have at every stage if you want to go to higher level. So I am making it very clear, poverty is not good to us. It's not a curse, but it's not going to let you do something. If I have been able to come to this stage, basically because I am very prosperous, rich at heart, I have the money, I have everything, I could afford to do whatever I want to do. And that is message which I am giving to the world. Even if you need to work for somebody else, don't feel bad about it. You need money. You should earn money in the right way, honestly, truthfully, and otherwise, which I talked about it, the emotional health or mental health or Patanjali Yoga Sutra itself. Now the question of integrated social health is equally important because we are Lokpalan, we are part of the universal. We cannot associate ourselves and become sannyasi and group ourselves in a small thing. It doesn't work. Even at 73 years, I am sociable to everybody. To me, it doesn't matter whether it's a Brahman or Kshatriya, this or Indian, foreign, Chinese. For me, every human being is equal because I see only Atma in them. I don't see what they are. And that makes me socially very relevant. No wonder I'm part of so many social organizations. Try to do best for everything in every form. And that has made me one part of the human society where I'm loved for each and everything the way things are. Now they come to the question of what spiritual health is all about. And I'm talking about Maharishi Adi Arvind, Sri Aurobindo. What he talked about it, the integral yoga, is not I'm talking about in spiritual aspect. As I told, the first indwelling soul is helium-4, which I know. And in Vedas, Daksha's mother and daughter is Aditi. And in Upanishads, Aditi is mother and daughter of Aditya. These two statements has not been, I've been able to explain that they are talking about helium-4, and Aditya I would call it hydrogen. And the reaction of proton, helium to hydrogen to helium, helium to hydrogen is what that old concept I've been able to unfold and give the world, that Antaratma, Kundalini, Aditi, all are same and they are helium-4 only. Now the question I'm going to, now I'm bringing back Rigved to Aitri Upanishads and making a statement which I explained. The person sought the food after being created are the out-breaths, and that is apana prana, and nobody has been able to understand, and that is what is talking about is umbilical cord. And there are 5 pranas. Apana prana is the one which throws out. So the one which throws out is the fecal matter, urine matter, etc. The one from cosmic portion which goes out is through apana with umbilical vein. Now umbilical cord, which is artery, mother to this brings all the food, and that's how I've been able to explain. Once you are in tune with universal consciousness, even the greatest of mysteries, that is one thing which I'm trying to say. You should have knowledge of all the 64 arts. Only then you can be in tune with universal consciousness. With sectarian one art, you can't be in universal consciousness. You got to understand A to Z. Many people ask this. No, we can do it once we make an effort. When you are not making an effort, I can't help it. Then decoding is that that ocean is talking about is actually amniotic fluid, and apana is what you can see is umbilical cord, and you can see uterus as such. That's how I've been able to decode it. And then comes to the question of negating. After that, section 312 says there is entry at the head after 22 weeks from which the soul enters. That end is called vidri, the pleasing end, and I would call it anterior fontanelle or brahmandri, through which Antaratma or helium-4 enters into child at the week of 22 weeks. As a result, the DNA subject can be modified to make the body as perfect as you want. That's what I see, and I have shown the DNA created on DIVYANK is 1,000 times better than Watson and Crick, for which they got a Nobel Prize. Then after that entry of that, you go to the 3rd trimester of 7th, 8th and 9th months, and then you see how things are beautifully developed, and that consciousness was called Brahman. He is Brahman in tune with divine consciousness. That's beauty. Then come to the question of that, when that child is born, he is a perfect human being. That is what pedant Brahman becomes. He is able to understand the entire vision with which I started in the beginning is there in Aitreya Upanishad. Then entry of the human soul is at a 20, full fetus is developed in 21 weeks, entry of human 22nd week, and full brain is developed in 21 years, and cranial suture close only after 22 years. Is also something which I have explained how center revolves around 22. When I talk of the head and first bone, there are 22 bones, out of which 21 are fixed, one is open, is again Brahman only. Now the next stage comes back, as I told you, descent of Shakti from other. One is Aditi, which I was born with it for Janma after Janma. But after that, when you come to the stage, you are in tune with universal consciousness. It's the descent of Mahashakti which comes down, or Mahagayatri I would call it. My second soul which entered into me was Goddess Gayatri when I was 7 years old, and that is the stage when I asked for Gayatri Mantra to be initiated. I had a Gayatri process to be done. I started chanting Gayatri Mantra. That is one. Helium-4 was one. Now, neon 20 came to play a role, and that is Gayatri. And after that, I started understanding my 10 centers of consciousness, 10 stages of solar system, and also the 10 stages of spiral galaxy became very clear, because now Goddess Gayatri started enlightening me on that part. Although I chant what Durga mantra, Sarva Mangal Mangle, Shive Sarvat Sadhike, Sharanay Triambike, Gauri Narayani Namostute. But when in distress, I immediately start chanting Gayatri mantra. And that is what it is. So this was the second descent as such. I thought that was a phenomenon when I was 7 years. And after that only I got myself initiated into Gayatri symbolism automatically, although my brothers and others never had it. That was a beautiful part. Now, this particular thing is, I'm bringing very clear, Mahashakti, descent of Mahashakti was spoken by Sri Aurobindo in Pondicherry, as this particular symbol is taken from that, higher destiny by descent of higher consciousness called Mahashakti. As you can see, Sri Aurobindo and Mother's work, compilation is that. And that is what they talked about it, descent after the birth. And I said, I'm born with Aditi. But I experienced this after birth at this age of 7 was Mahashakti as a Gayatri as such. That is thing which Aurobindo talked about it, and he had experienced it, and after which only he started seeing everybody as a Krishna. And that was the thing way back in a jail in Bihar itself. And from that there is a transformation from a politician to a spiritual scientist, just with symbol of descent of Mahashakti alone. That is great. When I talk about Jadu Krishnamurti, is talking about which I have experienced from birth itself. So he was like that also. He took the decision from the very beginning. He refused to be Bhagwan called by Theosophical Society, because he and me are identical from that as a child born itself. But I think Yajnavalkya knew it. But as far as Sri Aurobindo did not have that experience in the beginning, that's why he gone through all the turmoils of the world. But after descent of Shakti at a later date, he transformed to a spiritual scientist. It's also something which I want the world to understand. Now, as a result of that, you experience moksha, the freedom. And I do not say moksha is a no birth at all. For me, the freedom from all the constraints of day-to-day life is moksha, the freedom. Dharma, earth, kam, moksha. Do your dharma, all your work with dharma, righteousness. All your arthik also on dharma. All your desire to be fulfilled with dharma, you will get moksha. That means you have freedom from all the constraints or restraints of each and everything. Once you have freedom from all the constraints or restraints, then you are free to take your decision, because you have the money, you have the health, you have the wealth, you have everything. And that is moksha. Moksha means you should be perfectly physically healthy, emotionally stable, mentally powerful, in tune with universal consciousness, and all the required things of the world you should have it. Only then you are totally free. Otherwise you will have to borrow, beg and steal. That is not moksha. Then I, having experienced the beauty of Gayatri at the age of 7, then after being initiated into simplified Kundalini Yoga in way back in 1991, 1st January 91, I realized that I started moving to higher and higher levels of consciousness. And Turiya's taught me how to go beyond Om, how to go beyond the solar system, how to go beyond that. And that's where I realized that I am able to go to Mahabrahmand, which is Adi-Prashakti. Now, if you say helium, it has got 2 electrons. When you talk of Gayatri, it's got 10 electrons, like neon. First one is helium. But when you go to the next one, argon has got 18 electrons, 18 protons. That means you have come to the level of the 3rd level of universal consciousness, which is stable. And that has taught me how to go beyond. And at this juncture, let me tell you, first stage of helium taught me what is Brahma all about, 22 by 21. Gayatri taught me what 10 stages of development of Dasa Avatara. But realization of 5 digits of Shiva happened only when I realized one with AdiPrashakti. When I reached that level and started moving to that level, This came to be realized only 2014 and 2015 only. Whereas the first thing was born with it perfection, then 7 onwards, all the answers I could give it. And then after experiencing this, I am able to bring the universal consciousness A to Z step by step so that there is no defect whatsoever. You can imagine at the age of 60 plus, you come to realize universal consciousness. But seeking that universal consciousness has been a part of my being from beginning itself. That brings it very close to what I have received. Then the reason for our failure is the ignorance and inertia, that we are not being taught the way we should be taught. So I would not blame any individual for the failure, because all the knowledge which has been given to you from the day one to other thing is defective. So you are reading defective things, you are becoming defective. I had the soul within me. I looked, now that world has a new knowledge without any defect. That's what I'm making it conscious clear for everybody. So in every next generation soul, start learning from the day one, and then you will have a uniformity. All of them will be in tune with Ved, Upanishads and universal consciousness, and will come back to AKHAND Sindhu one by one thereafter. Now, having understood, then I would realize that you will understand the beauty of mineral kingdom, which Rigved is talking about. The atom, element, molecules, compounds, cells, tissues, all that is there in Rigved, and also in Gayatri Upanishad. Real beauty is seen of the mineral kingdom. As such, your physical body is the element of the best chemical factory in the world, and that's it. Then when come to the next stage, that procreation started with the plant kingdom first, and that is first is the mineral kingdom, second is plant kingdom. When they started producing things which are required for human life as such, they preceded before animal kingdom, and that's the reason first thing was carbohydrate, then lipids, third proteins, then amino acids, and of course then you have nucleic acids and DNA, RNA, all that. All the chemical structures you can see beautifully in plant kingdom itself. Then come to the next stage, the animal kingdom. The human brain comes up when higher consciousness in the human form starts developing. And this is where something which I realize, which neuroscientists of the world are not even aware of it. Let me tell you. And that is what is that outer 3 layers of neocortex are what are the functions? The entire neuroscientists of the world don't even know about it. And I'm telling you, once they are activated, with Atma being inside the ventricles, you can be in tune with universal consciousness or soul consciousness, and Schumann resonance with ionosphere is a layer. The inner one, which is close to Earth, is 7.83. So 7.83 to 8.73, as I put it, this is the frequency you can be in tune with Akash Kosh. You will have the knowledge of the world from ionic sphere itself. In case you don't have within your conscious, that doesn't matter. You can get it there. And this is what I've got from inside, outside, and given to the world as such. Now, having done that, I have brought it to the very clear key. First 22 by 21 was known to me from my childhood self, because my helium was inside me, know how exactly to do. Then with the Gayatri, after 7 years, I've been able to understand 10 stages of development, 10 chakras, 10 things very clearly. After 2014, 2015, I've been able to understand the AdiPrashakti's thing, to go to the third level and give the world this particular thing. Now with this thing, I can talk of the perfect anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, psychology. As a result, we can lay foundation for preventive medicine. We can curtail and aging reversing. We can be eternally blissful. We can be a representation of spiritual science as the world should know, and that is the wisdom which the world needs it for one and large. And so in the process, I would say, I've come to the end of this particular thing, and essence is there. Anyone who listened to this particular thing, new series as AKHAND Sindhu, would be in tune with universal consciousness, and all the videos which are going to be followed after the next one about AKHAND Vidya, education, and then how before creation, after creation, and thereafter step by step, much more precise, concise you're going to see. This is a new series as a Mahagranth, let it be, as a Sindhu, Akhand Sindhu as such. Thank you very much. It was lovely explaining my thing. It is only a fraction, but you go have, it's already there, which is there, but more classified as we move on, as a document for the entire universe as we move on. Thank you very much.